In the treacherous world of Mexican cartels, leadership comes hand in hand with a thirst for trafficking drugs, orchestrating kidnappings, and a dark affinity for gruesome killings. But one name stands out among the rest. The infamous El Junior, the menacing force behind the Gulf Cartel's reign of terror. He was also called El Rolex and Comandante Novecientos. With an iron grip on power, El Junior amassed over $5 million, slyly ensuring Mexican law enforcement officers lined their pockets with his bribes. Accompanied by an army of 500 loyal and armed men, his rule was absolute. Join us as we uncover the spine-chilling saga of Rafael Cardenas Vela, the man who transformed the Gulf Cartel into a harrowing force to be reckoned with. Rise to fame. In the year 2000, Rafael Cardenas Vela, also known as El Junior, began his ascent to power within the Gulf Cartel. His journey started in San Fernando, Tamaulipas, a strategic city located just 30 miles south of Matamoros, known for its vital drug corridor. Upon assuming leadership, El Junior wasted no time establishing his authority. His first move was to visit key figures in the city, including the mayor, police forces, newspapers, and media outlets. During these encounters, he either bribed them or made it clear that he was now in charge. This display of power sent a clear message that resistance against El Junior and the Gulf Cartel would come at a severe cost. Moving cocaine shipments through San Fernando proved challenging due to a military checkpoint in the area. To circumvent this obstacle, El Junior devised strategies to ensure the safe passage of narcotics. He would notify the police in advance, instructing them to remain inside their headquarters until he gave the signal. If the checkpoint posed too much risk, the cartel relied on small aircraft to transport the drugs in loads of 500 kilograms each. The planes landed on specially constructed airstrips where a team of over 10 men, under El Junior's supervision, would unload and store the narcotics in San Fernando. Once the drugs were secured, the cartel's henchmen from the border cities would arrive in heavily armed convoys to pick up the loads. These armed men established checkpoints along the highways, preventing rival drug gangs from interfering and ensuring that the military kept its distance. The sheer volume of drug loads sometimes required an entire day and night to count accurately. By 2009, El Junior had become the gatekeeper of Rio Bravo, Tamaulipas, a city directly across the Mexico-United States border from Donna, Texas. Rio Bravo was a major smuggling route, making it a highly coveted territory for the Gulf Cartel. El Junior replicated his San Fernando tactics, but due to the city's geographical location, violence escalated. In Rio Bravo, El Junior's men were involved in smuggling marijuana across the Rio Grande and trafficking cocaine through the international bridges. To evade interception, the cartel reportedly bribed U.S. Border Patrol agents stationed at the bridges in Donna and Progreso, Texas. Additionally, El Junior controlled human smuggling rings, which operated separately from the marijuana traffickers. Immigrants were smuggled across one half of the river, while the other half was designated for marijuana trafficking. This division helped reduce the chances of detection by U.S. authorities. The infighting that led to his reign. El Junior, during his reign as the leader of the Gulf Cartel, skillfully orchestrated the accumulation of vast wealth, solidifying his position within the criminal organization. His control over various revenue streams, particularly drug trafficking and other illicit enterprises, allowed him to amass a substantial fortune. The infighting within the Gulf Cartel between the Metros and the Rojos factions played a significant role in shaping El Junior's rise to power. Following the death of Samuel Flores Borrego, a prominent figure within the cartel, in September of 2011, a power struggle ensued between these two factions. This internal conflict continued until 2013, with the Metros ultimately gaining the upper hand and regaining control over the cartel's major cities. Originally, both factions were formed in the late 1990s under the leadership of Rafael Cardenas Vela the former head of the Gulf Cartel. After OCL's arrest and subsequent extradition, the control of the cartel passed to his brother, Antonio Cardenas Vela, known as Tony Tormenta, and his close associate Jorge Eduardo Costilla Sanchez, also known as El Cos. However, tensions between the two factions began to escalate in 2010 when Juan Mejia Gonzalez, a member of the Rojos, was overlooked for a prominent regional role in Reynosa, Tamaulipas. The assignment of Reynosa to Flores Borrego, a member of the Metros, sparked resentment among the Rojos, who perceived it a sign that the Metros held a higher position within the organization. Matters worsened when Antonio was killed by the Mexican Marines in November 2010, with the Rojos suspecting that the Metros had betrayed their leader's whereabouts. This fueled animosity between the two factions, leading to a desire for revenge. In their quest for retribution, Mejia Gonzalez and Rafael Cardenas Vela, Antonio's nephew, allegedly ordered the execution of Flores Borrego, who held a significant position within the Metros faction. This act not only demonstrated their ruthless determination, but also allowed El Junior to seize further control within the Gulf Cartel. El Junior's control over revenue streams, particularly drug trafficking, served as a key pillar in his wealth accumulation strategy. The Gulf Cartel's involvement in the lucrative narcotics trade provided substantial financial gains. El Junior oversaw the trafficking of drugs, such as cocaine and marijuana, across the Mexico-United States border, ensuring a steady influx of profits. Additionally, El Junior's influence extended to other illegal enterprises, expanding the Gulf Cartel's revenue sources. These activities included extortion, smuggling, and involvement in various criminal networks. By diversifying their income streams, El Junior ensured a resilient financial foundation for the cartel and bolstered his own wealth and influence within the organization. Through the control and manipulation of these revenue streams, El Junior further solidified his position as the Gulf Cartel's leader. His financial power and ability to generate substantial wealth not only secured his dominance within the organization, but also enabled him to wield significant influence over external entities, including corrupt officials and law enforcement officers. Acquisition of wealth and power. The death of El Junior's uncle, Antonio Cardenas Vela, popularly known as Tony Tormenta, in November 2010, triggered the internal conflicts within the Gulf Cartel. El Junior faced opposition from Jorge Eduardo Costilla Sanchez, also known as El Cos, and other members who had previously worked with his uncle. In March 2011, El Junior became the top drug baron in Matamoros, Tamaulipas, but was forced to flee to Texas to seek refuge from Costilla Sanchez and evade the relentless pursuit of the rival Los Zetas cartel. Despite being in the United States, El Junior maintained control over the Gulf Cartel's drug transportation and distribution cells. He communicated with his subordinates through daily emails, ensuring that the flow of cocaine and marijuana across the Mexico-United States border remained uninterrupted. El Junior's reign was characterized by the shrewd management of illicit finances, making him a formidable force within the Gulf Cartel and ensuring his position at the helm of the organization's operations. Downfall and aftermath. On 20 October 2011, a turning point in El Junior's fate occurred as he was en route to his luxurious residence in South Padre Island, Texas. Accompanied by his bodyguards and an unidentified woman, he was stopped by the police in Port Isabel, Texas, on the pretext of a routine traffic stop. Unbeknownst to the officer at the time, El Junior was a high-ranking drug lord in the Gulf Cartel. Driving a silver Ford F-150 truck with temporary license plates, El Junior, donning pink shorts and loafers, presented a Mexican passport and a visa bearing a false name. However, when confronted with his true identity, he admitted to using someone else's passport and confessed to his involvement in the transportation and importation of marijuana and cocaine into the United States. He disclosed details of his illicit activities, including selling marijuana to individuals involved in smuggling operations. Following his arrest in Port Isabel, law enforcement authorities seized his cell phones and ledgers, which provided critical evidence linking him to ongoing drug investigations. The analysis of the phone records revealed connections to various individuals involved in the cartel's operations. The confiscated ledgers shed light on the Gulf Cartel's personnel structure, including armed and unarmed members, as well as the procurement of firearms, protective equipment, vehicles, and fuel. Despite the absence of firearms, drugs, or large sums of cash in his vehicle at the time of his arrest, the subsequent investigation unveiled a web of properties and assets associated with El Junior. Reports indicated that he owned multiple residences in Rio Hondo, Port Isabel, and Brownsville, all situated within close proximity to the U.S.-Mexico border. He admitted to possessing numerous vehicles, a condominium in South Padre Island, and even a collection of exotic animals housed in his Rio Hondo property. The arrest of El Junior sparked a wave of violence and unrest in Valle Hermoso and Matamoros, the territories where he operated within the Gulf Cartel. Gunfights and roadblocks erupted as rival cartels and internal factions vied for control in the power vacuum created by his detention. Reports from 27 October 2011 indicated a total of 14 deaths had already occurred as a consequence of the resulting infighting and clashes. The combined efforts of law enforcement agencies through their relentless pursuit of El Junior and the power struggles within the cartel itself ultimately led to his downfall. This pivotal moment marked a significant blow to the Gulf Cartel and signaled a shift in the criminal dynamics within the region. Conclusion: after his arrest, Cardenas Vela appeared in court on 21 October 2011, admitting to his involvement in the Gulf Cartel's drug distribution. He pleaded guilty to conspiracy charges in March 2012, with the government dropping money laundering and immigration charges. The guilty plea aimed for a lighter punishment, while asset forfeiture proceedings targeted his possessions. Cardenas Vela's bodyguards received sentences for lying to federal agents, while the third individual avoided charges. Finally, on 17 November 2014, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison, fined $100,000, and ordered to forfeit $5 million in cash and property. His cooperation in describing the cartel's workings led to a reduced sentence.